before we begin. If you enjoy stories like this, long, immersive narrations designed to help you fall asleep, consider subscribing to our channel. Feel free to like the video if it helps you relax tonight. Now, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and imagine this. You're a soldier in the World War I. You arrive at the company's small command post, a dugout built deeper into the side of the trench wall, reinforced with timber beams and sandbags. The door is a thick sheet of canvas, heavy and wet from the morning dew. You lift it and step inside. The space is dim, lit only by a single oil lantern flickering on a table. Maps are pinned to the wall, smudged with fingerprints, stained by time and weather. There are notes written in pencil, scribbled coordinates, lines and circles marking movements you rarely see. An officer looks up at you from behind a desk made of stacked crates. He gives a small nod, then returns to his papers. No orders for now, nothing new to do. You nod back, step outside, and let the canvas fall behind you. The trench stretches in both directions. To your left, a long path curves toward the frontline position. To your right, the path leads to the supply route and the latrine area farther back. For now, you turn left. As you walk, you hear the crunch of frozen soil beneath your boots. Somewhere nearby, someone coughs. Another soldier adjusts the straps on his gear. The daily rhythm has begun, slow and steady. You reach the forward observation post, a small station with narrow slits carved into the wall. You climb the ladder quietly and take a glance through the opening. The land ahead is barren. A line of wire stretches across the ground, tangled and rusted. A few wooden posts still stand in the field, tilted at strange angles. Pieces of old uniforms, tattered and frozen, cling to the debris. You've learned not to stare too long. There's nothing out there you haven't seen before. You climb down and take a seat on a low crate, letting your legs rest for a while. Your rifle leans beside you, clean but cold. You run a gloved hand along the barrel. Maintenance has become a habit, a part of life like eating and sleeping. Somewhere deeper in the trench, you hear quiet voices. Someone's sharing a tin of biscuits. Another has managed to brew weak tea over a tiny burner. The scent drifts faintly down the corridor, mixing with the ever-present smell of damp earth and rusted metal. You close your eyes for a moment. Not to sleep, just to rest. To let your mind drift. The sound of boots on boards, the soft wind rustling over the top of the trench, the distant thump of artillery miles away, it all blends into a hum. You remember the last letter you received. It's folded neatly in your coat pocket, the edges worn soft from being read again and again. You don't take it out now. You know every word by heart. It brings a little comfort, a sliver of something warm. But your eyes stay closed, breathing in the cold. Listening, waiting. You open your eyes again. Only a few minutes have passed, but time feels strange here. Sometimes fast, sometimes impossibly slow. The sun is rising higher, though it's just a pale disk behind layers of grey cloud. There's no warmth in it, only light. You hear a quiet shuffle nearby. Another soldier settling down beside you, wrapping his coat tighter. Neither of you speaks. You both just sit, listening. The cold creaks in the wood, groans in the frozen dirt. A short while later, the rations arrive. A corporal walks down the line with a canvas bag, handing out parcels wrapped in waxed paper. Inside, there's a small piece of bread, hard and dry. A smear of jam if you're lucky. Maybe a sliver of tinned meat. You take yours without a word. Everyone does. There's a quiet ritual in it now. Unwrapping the paper slowly, checking what's inside, chewing deliberately. The food is bland, but familiar, and that makes it good enough. You finish your meal, brush the crumbs from your lap, and sip from your canteen again. The water tastes slightly metallic. Most of it comes from nearby wells, filtered and boiled, but it still carries the flavor of the trench. You stand and stretch. The trench wall is slick with frost, streaked with grime. Above, the sky is still that endless grey. You glance over the edge quickly, just a peek. No movement, no sound from the other side. No man's land remains still. As the morning shifts into afternoon, small tasks begin. You help replace a broken section of duckboard, your boots sinking slightly in the mud as you hammer new planks into place. Another soldier passes by carrying a bundle of sandbags over his shoulder. Work keeps your hands busy, your mind steady. It's better than sitting still for too long. Too much silence and stillness makes the imagination wander to places it shouldn't. Later, there's word of a message runner arriving from another sector. He's muddy, out of breath, and carrying a leather pouch strapped across his chest. He exchanges a few words with the officer and then moves on, disappearing around a corner of the trench. Whatever the message was, it doesn't concern you directly. Not yet. You return to your post near the corner, taking a seat once more on the crate. Clouds drift above. The wind shifts slightly, bringing with it the faintest trace of smoke. Maybe from a campfire somewhere miles away, maybe from something less comforting. But the scent fades quickly. Time passes. The sun never breaks through. A group of soldiers walks by slowly, their boots thudding dully on the wooden boards. One of them carries a shovel. Another holds a battered tin kettle. They nod to you. You nod back. The rhythm continues. There's a kind of peace here, in the routine. The quiet between orders. The stillness of the trench in its resting state. You find yourself staring at the far end of the path. Past the dugouts. Past the crates. Past the curve that leads toward the front line. It feels far away, even though it's not. Just a turn or two and you'd be there. But for now, you stay seated, hands resting on your knees, listening, breathing, watching. The trench is your world, a strange, narrow strip of earth that holds everything you know. Mud, wood, smoke, silence. And somewhere out there, beyond the wire and the mist, another trench mirrors yours. Quiet now, like yours. Holding its own soldiers sitting, waiting, breathing just the same. Evening settles slowly, almost quietly. The light fades from grey to steel blue, and then to the softest shadow of black. The air grows colder. You can feel it creeping through the layers of your coat, pressing against your skin. A lantern is lit near the command post. Its light glows faintly through the canvas flap, casting golden shadows along the trench wall. A few others are lit farther down the line, their warm flickers swallowed quickly by the fog drifting in. You wrap your scarf tighter around your neck. The trench takes on a different sound at night, quieter, but sharper. You hear every footstep, every cough, every breath. You're assigned to watch duty for the first stretch of night. You walk slowly toward the forward station. The sky above is mostly hidden by the trench walls, but when you reach the ladder and climb, you see it. Stars, scattered and pale, behind thin clouds. You settle into position behind a small lookout slit. Just a crack in the timber, wide enough to see a portion of no man's land. Still, cold, endless. You rest your fingers near your rifle, not on it. There's been no activity today. No shots. No movement. But that doesn't mean it's safe. Out there, in the dark, others may be watching too. A soft rustle comes from the trench behind you. Just another soldier walking by, boots brushing the boards. But every sound sharpens your senses. You're trained for it, always alert. Even when tired. Even when still. A few feet to your left, another watchman breathes quietly through his scarf. You don't speak. There's nothing to say. Just the two of you, eyes forward, listening. Hours pass slowly. The cold deepens. Your fingers go stiff, your boots heavy. You shift your weight from one side to the other, careful not to make too much noise. At one point, you hear a snap, distant faint. It could be an animal, or just the wind catching something loose. You don't move. You just watch the darkness harder, breathing slow. Nothing follows. No flare. No whistle. You hold your position. You've learned that danger doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it waits, silent and invisible, just beyond the wire. Eventually, you're relieved. Another soldier climbs into the spot beside you, gives a quiet nod. You return the gesture, climb down, and begin your walk back along the trench. There's no talking at night, just the crunch of your boots, the rustle of your coat. You step over sleeping figures curled in corners. One snores gently, breath clouding in the air. Another stirs in his sleep, murmuring something half-formed. You reach your dugout, a narrow space reinforced with timber. Inside, two others are already lying down, one under a scratchy blanket, the other with his back against the wall, writing something in a small notebook by the light of a match. You nod at them, hang your gear on a hook, and lower yourself onto the makeshift bed of canvas and straw. It's not comfortable, but it's familiar. You lie back and close your eyes. The scent of soil and smoke fills your lungs. Distant thuds echo faintly. Artillery miles away. Just enough to remind you that danger is still out there. But not here. Not now. You listen to the rhythm of breathing around you. The creak of the boards. The steady drip of water somewhere in the dark. And you drift. Not fully asleep. Not fully awake. Just resting, mind quiet, body still. Outside, the trench continues. Silent. Watching. Waiting. You wake before dawn. The trench is hushed, lit only by the last flickers of lantern light. A thin mist hangs low, curling along the trench floor like smoke. Somewhere nearby, someone's boiling water over a small flame. The scent of instant coffee and burnt wood drifts your way. You rub your eyes and sit up slowly, boots hitting the cold timber. No one speaks yet. The morning is still young, and words feel out of place. You gear up. Coat, belt, rifle. The canvas strap creaks as you sling it over your shoulder. Outside the dugout, the trench stirs softly. Men stretch, scratch, mutter. Then, somewhere beyond the forward line, a single shot cracks through the air. You freeze. So does everyone else. Not panic. Not yet. Just alertness. Like the snap of a twig in a forest. Small, but enough to wake the senses. The officer near the command post raises a hand. Eyes sharp. Could be nothing, he says in a low voice. Could be something. A few of you are sent forward, just to check. You climb carefully, one by one, into the narrow forward trench that faces the stretch of no man's land. The cold bites your skin. Breath clouds from your mouth. You duck low, moving slow, heart steady. Then, another shot. This one hits the dirt wall near your shoulder, spraying soil and splinters. You drop instantly, pressing yourself to the trench floor. Sniper. Someone whispers. You nod. That wasn't a stray. A few others are down with you, pressed into the trench wall. One lifts his rifle slowly, carefully. Another readies a flare gun. The officer gestures, and a flare is fired. Its light arsing up in eerie silence, casting ghostly shadows across the field. You peek through the slit in the wall. The mist clears just enough for a glimpse. A figure. Movement. Just for a second. Then, quiet again. Someone fires a return shot. More out of instinct than precision. The sound is sharp but hollow in the open space. Then it fades again. Nothing moves. Minutes pass. Eventually, the call is given to fall back. There's no need for escalation. Just a warning, maybe. A reminder that the line is never empty. You retreat slowly, steps careful, eyes behind. Back in the main trench, the morning routine resumes. Quieter now. A few men exchange glances. Some mutter about the shot. Others shrug it off. It's not the first time. Won't be the last. You sit down near the fire someone managed to start. The heat feels good against your hands. You don't say much. Just let your breath steady again. The sound of boots on timber fills the trench as a patrol gets ready to move. You're not on the list today. You just watch as they head off, disappearing around the bend like ghosts. The sun rises faintly behind clouds. Not much light. Just a pale glow, like the world's holding its breath. You sip from a tin cup, warm liquid washing down the dust. For now, things are still. The danger came and went, like a wave brushing the edge of a rock. And you're still here, awake, watching, waiting. The sun hangs somewhere behind thick grey clouds, barely shifting the colour of the sky. Morning fades into something that might be called day. If not for the cold, the fog, and the silence that blankets everything. You hear the distant grind of wheels before you see anything. A supply cart is coming through the back trench, pulled by a pair of horses with sunken eyes. Their hooves thump softly in the mud. The driver hums under his breath, barely audible over the creak of the wooden axle. The cart stops a few feet from your dugout. Canvas, covered crates are unloaded with slow, careful movements. Some are filled with tins of food. Beans, bread, biscuits. One of them contains letters. Your name is called. You step forward and take a small envelope, damp at the corners, edges curled. The handwriting is familiar. You run your fingers over it before opening. Inside a folded page and a pressed flower. You read slowly. The words aren't dramatic, just updates from home. The neighbor's dog had puppies. The fence needed mending. Someone is learning to bake bread. It's all so far from where you are, and somehow, that makes it feel close. You fold the letter back, carefully, like it might break if you move too fast. You tuck the flower into your jacket pocket. A few others read aloud. Someone laughs quietly. The trench almost feels human again. After the letters are passed around, the officer leans against the wooden wall with a map in his hand. He calls for a small scouting group. Just a short patrol. Check the outer edge of no man's land. Nothing deep. Nothing dramatic. Your name's on the list. You nod, finish your tin of beans, and grab your rifle. The patrol is quiet. 5 of you. You move low through a narrow break in the trench wall, crouching behind torn fencing and splintered wood. The mud sucks at your boots, and frost glistens on the tips of twisted barbed wire. Each step is slow. Each breath is measured. The open field is ghostly. Abandoned helmets, shattered crates, broken rifles half sunk in the soil. You don't look too long at anything. You hear something behind a ridge. Could be the wind, could be something else. You raise your hand, and the patrol halts. Everyone drops low. You wait. Nothing moves. The sound fades. Maybe it was just the breeze curling through the broken branches of a tree, long since burned out. You signal again, and the group continues, just to the marked spot. Then you return the same way. Nothing more than a whisper against the field. Back in the trench, the men exhale. Someone hands out pieces of hard biscuit. Another pours coffee from a dented pot. The sun has begun to dip again. Not much change, just a slight shift in the light. Shadows lengthen. The chill deepens. You sit back against the wall, legs stretched, letter folded neatly in your lap. You close your eyes for a moment. Not sleep, just rest. Just a moment without weight on your shoulders. There's always the sense of danger. Always the idea that something could come next. But for now, the trench is still. And you are here present. Quiet. Evening sets in without ceremony. The sky darkens not because the sun disappears, but because the clouds grow heavier, so dense they seem to press down on the trench itself. A soft drizzle begins to fall, soaking canvas and coats, turning the floor to thick, silent mud. You're on second watch tonight. That means no sleep until the early hours. You stand near the lookout post, scanning the grey nothing that stretches out ahead. Raindrops trickle down your helmet and collar. The officer checks his pocket watch. Quiet so far, he mutters. Keep your eyes open. You nod. Time moves differently on watch. It doesn't pass. It leans. Every second feels like a minute. Every minute, an hour. Then, movement. Just a flicker far out in no man's land past the shattered fencing. You grip your rifle tighter. One of the men beside you sees it too. He doesn't speak, just gives a sharp nod. You crouch, raise the scope slowly, carefully. Rain blurs the glass, but you wipe it with your sleeve. There. Figures, shifting shadows against the fog. Not birds. Not the wind. Human advancing low, slow. Maybe a small raiding party. Maybe scouts. You duck and signal down the line. Quiet gestures. No shouting. Everyone's trained for this. The trench comes to life in silence. Rifles rise from behind cover. You wait. They draw closer. Still shadows, barely more than silhouettes in the rain. Then the officer gives a soft, single word, fire. The rifles crack in staggered rhythm. 1, 2, 3. Muted thunder. The air fills with the sharp smell of powder and wet earth. Figures scatter. Someone shouts in a language you don't speak. A reply comes from further back. A command, a warning, maybe both. A flare is fired again. It lights the field in a sickly white, turning every shape into stark contrast. You see them clearly now, 4 or 5, maybe more. They scramble back, a few firing as they retreat. Bullets snap overhead. You press into the trench wall, heart hammering. Not fear, just the sharp, clean rush of awareness. More shots, then stillness, a final crack, then nothing but rain again. The flare fizzles out. Darkness folds back over everything. You stay still for a while, listening, watching. Eventually, it's clear. They've gone. No one's hit. You exhale. The officer slaps someone on the back. Good eyes, he mutters. You don't speak. You just nod, watching the fog swallow the field again. Later, you're back on the floor of the trench, cradling your rifle in your lap. The mud clings to your boots. Your hands are still tight, but slowly they ease. The others settle back in. Coffee is passed around again, bitter, thin, but warm. You take a sip, then another. No celebration, no cheer, just a quiet return to the rhythm of waiting. The kind of calm that comes after a storm that never fully arrived. The kind that holds you steady, even while the world beyond the trench keeps shifting. You glance up. The clouds drift now, parting just enough for a sliver of moonlight to cast pale reflections on puddles. You sit with your back to the wall, rifle across your knees, and let your eyes rest again. Still here, still listening, still breathing. You don't remember falling asleep, but you wake just before dawn, the trench floor cold and stiff beneath you. Your back aches, your neck is sore, but you're breathing. Somewhere in the distance, the thunder begins again. Not weather. Guns, they never really stop. Artillery, far off beyond the horizon. Thudding like distant drums. Not loud enough to startle, but always there. A background rhythm to your waking and sleeping. Boom, boom. Boom, pause, then again. It's strange how the sound no longer alarms you. The first few nights, you'd flinch at every crack. Now, it's just part of the world. Like the wind. Like the rain. You rise and stretch quietly, careful not to wake the man beside you. His helmet is tilted over his face, his chest rising and falling in slow, heavy rhythm. He looks peaceful, somehow, even here. You walk the line with your hands buried in your pockets, passing sandbags stacked high, and rusted tins filled with leftover food. The smell of smoke lingers. Somewhere, someone is lighting a small fire for tea. The officer greets you with a nod. Another night behind us, he says, voice low. You glance up at the sky. It's still dark, but faint blue creeps in behind the grey. Then, another distant blast. You both pause and listen. The guns aren't getting closer, just steadier, more rhythmic. They're softening something up. The officer mutters. You nod but say nothing. It doesn't matter what they're softening. Not yet. Breakfast comes in tin bowls. Something like porridge. Something not quite warm. You eat it all the same, standing, eyes still half closed. You glance at the field beyond the trench again. It's still there. Endless, wet, broken. Fences sag. Trees lean like skeletons. Shell craters collect rainwater, some with shapes beneath the surface you don't want to look at too long. And all the while, behind it all, that dull percussion. Boom. Pause. Boom, boom. A few new replacements arrive just before noon. Fresh uniforms. Clean boots. They step into the trench and freeze for a second, just long enough to take in the mud, the smell, the looks on everyone's faces. You don't say anything. No one does. They'll learn soon enough. Later, you're assigned repair duty with 2 others. Sandbags need restacking. Wire needs rethreading. It's simple work, repetitive, but it keeps your hands moving. The 3 of you don't talk much. Now and then, one of you pauses, tilts your head. Boom, boom, boom. Still there. Still pounding. Far away, but ever present. In the evening, you write. Your pencil is dull, your hands cold, but you scribble a few lines onto the tiny scrap of paper that passes for a letter. Nothing dramatic. Just notes about the weather. Food, the stars. You don't write about the gunfire. You know they already hear it in their heads, every time they read your name. As night rolls in, the trench goes quiet again, except for that familiar, distant rhythm. Your bedroll is damp. Your rifle stays close. The man beside you snores lightly, one hand still clutching his helmet like a pillow, and the guns keep going. Boom, boom. They sound like the heart of something ancient. Not angry, not fast. Just steady, unending. You close your eyes, you listen, and sleep returns, carried on the echoes of war, floating just beneath the sounds of another day survived. It begins with the rain. A soft patter on your helmet as you lie half awake, listening to the world breathe in the dark. You can't tell how long it's been raining. Minutes, hours, days. It feels like forever. The water seeps in from everywhere. From above, from the walls of the trench, from the ground beneath your blanket. It collects in the folds of your coat, drips from your nose, pulls in your boots. Still, you don't move. Not yet. The others begin to stir slowly, one by one. No one speaks. Rain does the talking today. It runs down the walls like a whisper. By morning, it's heavier. The trench has turned to soup. Brown, thick, and churning under your feet. Every step is a slow drag. Your socks are soaked through before breakfast, and your gloves are useless within the hour. And then, the sound changes. It begins faint. A staccato of cracks beneath the rolling thunder of rain. You stop and listen. Gunfire, someone mutters. It grows louder. Not the distant percussion of artillery this time, but sharp, snappy rifle fire, bouncing off the trees and steel like distant firecrackers. Your commanding officer ducks beneath the communication line. Gear up. Prepare for contact. No shouting. No speeches. Just orders, passed low, calm, deliberate. You check your rifle. You check your helmet. You wipe the rain from your eyes. The world feels quiet in your chest, but around you, everything's alive with movement. Men sliding through the mud to position. Voices calling in low tones. The click of bayonets locking into place. And always, the rain. Then the whistles blow. And the trench erupts. You're up the ladder before you know it, boots, slipping, mud grabbing at your legs. You run low, chest close to your knees, your breath ragged with cold and fear and rain. Bullets whip through the air, high, low, near. You don't look back. You follow the man in front of you, All around, figures charge through the mist, not yelling, just focused, determined. In the distance, through sheets of rain, you see the silhouettes of the enemy. Dark figures darting between barricades, behind shattered trees, across the broken land. Your rifle kicks once. Then again. Your hands move on instinct. No rage, no chaos, just rhythm. Rain, breath, fire. You take cover behind a fallen log, mud and water soaking through your sleeves. Your lungs burn. Around you, the sounds of battle become layered. Gunfire, thunder shouted names, boots splashing through puddles, the metallic clink of cartridges falling empty. But there's no blood, no screams, just the cold and the fight. You reload and press forward. You advance not with fury, but because the man beside you does. Because the order was given. Because there is no other direction. Eventually, the line breaks. Not shattered, just slowed. You retreat behind the rise, regroup with the others. The gunfire fades to the edges once more. Your heart slows. Your breath evens out. Rain still falls. It's softer now, more gentle. You sit in the mud, helmet in your lap, the water running down your face like tears that never belonged to you. No one speaks for a long time. You simply sit and listen to the world calm itself again. You don't remember falling asleep, only waking up. The trench is quiet now. Rain still falls, but softer, like it's run out of anger. Just a steady rhythm, like a lullaby for the wounded earth. The ground is still wet, still thick, still cold. But the tension has bled out of the air. It's foggy this morning. Heavy fog, hanging low and pale, curling over the lip of the trench and drifting through the trees beyond. It softens everything, blurs the corners of the world until all that's left is shape and breath. You sit with your back against the wall of the trench, wrapped in your coat, blanket pulled over your legs. You hold a canteen in your hands, though you're not thirsty. Everything is slow now. Every movement, every sound. Someone moves beside you, but says nothing, just sits. Another shape in the mist. Across the trench, a few men are cleaning their rifles by lantern light. They do it like a ritual, quiet, methodical, half asleep. There's no talking, no laughter, not even whispers. The world has pressed a heavy finger to its lips, and you obey. In the distance, the thunder of yesterday is gone. The sharp cracks, the chaos. It's all faded into a low murmur, like a memory trying not to wake you. You imagine the field beyond the trees, the churned up soil, the broken branches, the water collecting in the shell holes, reflecting the fog like glass. No movement, no color, just silence in white. You sip from the canteen. It's cold. Metallic. You don't mind. The warmth from your breath fogs the air in front of you, joining the mist like you're exhaling into a dream. You close your eyes for a moment. Not sleep. Just rest. Just enough to remember you're still here. Somewhere far off, you hear a crow. It echoes through the fog like a ghost's voice. One call, then another. Then silence again. It makes the air feel bigger, somehow. Like the war is paused, and you're all just waiting for the fog to lift before it begins again. But right now, there's only this. Only the softness. Only the moment. And for now, that's enough. You walk the trench slowly. Boots squishing into the damp floor. Coat button tight, helmet low over your brow. The fog is still thick, clinging to every surface, like a second skin. The air is cold, but not biting, just enough to keep you awake. You pass by other soldiers along the way. Some are sitting silently, backs against the walls, heads bowed beneath their helmets. Others move like you do, slow, cautious, unbothered by urgency. Everyone feels the same quiet weight. The trench branches left, then right. Each corner marked by worn signs, nailed into crooked wooden posts. B. Section. Command Tunnel. Medical Bay. You take the left. It leads deeper into the support line, where dugouts are carved into the mud, where supplies are stored, where the lanterns flicker quietly against the dark earthen walls. Someone's boiling water in a small tin pot over a flame. The steam rises and mixes with the fog, blurring the man's face as he stirs it slowly. No one talks here either. They don't need to. You pause at a corner and peer through a small slit in the trench wall, a lookout point. Beyond the sandbags and barbed wire, the land stretches out into fog and ruin. Trees without leaves, earth that's never dry, and in the distance, somewhere unseen, someone else is watching too. You feel it. The others do too. Snipers. They don't fire often. Not during moments like this. Not when things are still. But every soldier knows the feeling. The way your skin crawls when you step too high on the ladder. The way conversations stop when someone lingers too long in an open spot. They wait for movement, for outlines, for silhouettes in fog. The danger doesn't shout. It watches. It waits. It's patient. You remember a name they whispered yesterday. A man from the next trench over. Just stood too long. 1 second too many. Gone. No drama. No sound. Just a quiet thump and the sudden stillness that follows when everyone freezes and knows not to ask. Now you understand why people walk low. Why helmets never leave heads. Why even in fog this thick, the fear still lingers in the corners. You move on, deeper through the line. Past crates of rations. Past a hanging tarp covering a bunk dug into the wall. You pass a rifle leaning against the wood, its strap worn, its barrel dark with use. A man sleeps inside the bunk, snoring softly. His hands twitch sometimes, dreams maybe. You walk on, still slow, still quiet, and above all, still watching the sky and the ridgelines, even though you know you won't see the sniper if they're looking back. Night has arrived again. The fog hasn't lifted, but it's thinner now, washed out by darkness and replaced with a soft veil of night air. Lanterns glow dimly along the trench walls. Their light is golden, flickering gently, barely enough to see by. Just enough to show faces in half shadow. Just enough to see the steam from your breath. Everything is quieter after sundown. No rifles, no shouting, no movement across the field. Only the occasional pop of faraway artillery, like distant thunder. Deep, slow rumbles that roll over the landscape, but feel far away, like they're happening in someone else's dream. You pass a group of men sitting around a crate, using it as a table. Cards are being dealt slowly, one at a time. No one really cares about winning. They're just moving the hands. Shuffling, playing, collecting, a rhythm to fill the silence. Someone hums a quiet tune. Another scratches in a notebook with a dull pencil. No one looks up. No one speaks unless they have to. It's like a ritual now. Every evening, the same slow gathering of men, same lanterns, same cards, same silence. It feels safe here. You sit down a few paces away. Lean your back against the cold trench wall. Take out the small notebook from your coat pocket. The pages are stained, but still legible. You flip to an empty sheet and press your pencil down gently, careful not to tear the paper. You don't know what to write, so you write nothing for a while. You just hold the pencil and listen. To the cards, to the wind, to the faraway echo of things too distant to worry about tonight. Someone pours hot water into a tin cup and passes it down. You take it, hands wrapping around the warmth. It tastes faintly of herbs. Not tea, not coffee, just warmth. You sip slowly. Let it sit on your tongue. Let it distract you. A man across the trench leans forward, showing a worn photo to the man beside him. It's too dark to see what it is. Probably a family. Maybe a house. Maybe just a memory of something that still matters out there. The other man nods. Says nothing. They both go quiet again. You close the notebook. Slide it back into your coat. You're not tired, but you're still sinking. Not into sleep. Not yet. Just into quiet. Into the weight of stillness. Into the rhythm of men pretending, just for tonight, that the war is far away. That there's only fog. And firelight. And the soft hush of earth holding its breath. You wake before dawn. Not because anyone called you. Not because of gunfire. Just the cold. It seeps through the coat, through the boots, up through the damp wood of the trench wall behind you. It clings to the inside of your lungs when you breathe. You sit up slowly, rub your face with gloved hands, and listen. There's coughing, from far down the line. Not one man, several. Not loud, but sharp, wet. That sound has been creeping into camp the past few days. They say it's just trench cough. Something in the cold and the damp and the filth. They whisper about worse too. Fever, lung rot. The things no one wants to say aloud. A man 2 bunks down hasn't stood up in 2 days. Another tried and collapsed. No one talks about it openly. It's like the rats or the mud. You just accept it and keep moving. A medic passes by now and then. Worn boots, red band around the arm, expression like stone. Carries nothing more than a flask, a blanket, and a notebook. Sometimes he writes a name in it. Sometimes he just walks away. You step out from your dugout and into the pale grey fog. It's thicker again this morning, pressed low into the trench, clinging to the walls. There's a spot a few yards up, where the trench bends sharply. An old listening post. One of the younger soldiers is standing there, holding a long stick. At the end of the stick is a helmet. Not anyone's in particular, just one they found abandoned, dented but clean. He slowly raises it above the edge of the trench. A test. A dare. You stand still and watch. The helmet rises just a few inches above the lip, barely enough to form a silhouette. And then, from across the void, a crack. Sharp. Distant. Echoing. The helmet snaps backward and spins off the stick. The boy lowers the stick and says nothing. No one cheers. No one laughs. Everyone already knew what would happen. It was a reminder. A line not to cross. A voice, silent but absolute. You look at the helmet lying in the mud now, face down. A perfect hole punched through one side. The edges are neat. Too neat. Like a craftsman's work. You wonder if the sniper is still there. If he smiled when he fired. If he knew it was just metal and air. Or if he didn't care. The boy walks back to his post and leans against the wall. He doesn't lift the stick again. No one does. And the fog settles lower. And the coughs echo again, soft and thin. You shiver, not just from the cold this time. Just a little. They hand you a crate just before sundown. Canvas wrapped. Heavier than it looks. Inside, you know it's nothing dramatic. Just bandages, salt biscuits, maybe a jar or 2 of water, purifying tablets. But tonight, it feels like carrying something sacred. You sling it under your arm, tighten your scarf, and begin the walk down the support trench. It's narrower here. The walls feel closer, like they're folding in toward you. Your boots drag through mud that pulls like hands. Silent, clinging. Every few steps, you feel the suction rise up your ankles and slow you down. There's no one nearby. Just the wet squish of your steps, and the soft pattering of mud dripping from the trench walls. A lantern flickers behind a curve in the path. You reach it. A soldier sits on an overturned crate, coughing into his sleeve. He nods as you pass. You nod back. No words. Just acknowledgement. Just another set of boots moving through the mire. The air grows colder as you move deeper. The deeper trench walls make it feel like you're descending. Like the earth is swallowing you one step at a time. From above, far above the trench lip, you hear the faint droning of aircraft. It's distant, like a low hum through thick wool. But it's there. Always there. Like a reminder that the sky still watches. You find the junction. a fork where the path splits toward the infirmary dugout. It's barely lit. Just a candle inside a glass jar set on a wooden shelf. You turn toward the dugout. As you do, you pass a row of men leaning against the trench wall. Some are asleep. Some pretend to be. One stares at the candle without blinking. His hands tremble. Inside the infirmary, the air changes. It's thick, stale. It smells like mold, bandages, and something sharp beneath it all, like metal and sweat. 2 stretchers lie on the dirt floor, both occupied. No moaning, no cries, only the slow, rasping breath of exhaustion. You place the crate down gently. The medic nods. Doesn't look up. He's cutting strips of cloth with a blunt knife. The candlelight glints off his glasses. You watch for a second longer than you mean to. Then you turn and leave. Outside, night has fully arrived. The path back feels colder, quieter. The coughs still echo from distant corners, but now they sound buried, muffled by walls and blankets and sleep. You press your back to the trench wall and rest for a moment. The crate is gone from your hands, but the weight remains. Just a little. You breathe in, then out. Steam drifts from your lips and fades. Nothing moves above. Only fog and clouds and the slow return of silence. You're on watch tonight, not alone, but it feels like it. The trench stretches out on either side of you, dark and narrow, lined with hunched shadows of other men. Some stand, some sit, some just stare into the fog. The rifle is heavy in your hands. Not because it weighs much, but because of what it means. What it could mean. You hold it across your chest, barrel angled down, finger nowhere near the trigger. The fog clings to everything. It pools in the corners of the trench like slow smoke. You can barely see more than a few steps ahead. But it's quiet, not peaceful, just quiet. A kind of quiet that feels like holding your breath for hours. Somewhere beyond the trench, maybe just 50 meters away, there's movement. Not footsteps, not voices, just something. You can't see it, but the sound is real. Metal on stone. Wood shifting. You listen harder. Nothing. The man next to you points upward. You follow his finger. Barely visible through the mist. A flare rises into the sky. Slow at first. Then it bursts. A bloom of white light. It doesn't light up much. Just the trench walls around you, and the rim of the no man's land beyond. But in that split second, you catch glimpses. Broken wire, blackened stumps of trees. A shape too far away to name. Then darkness returns, heavier than before. You resume walking the trench. 5 paces forward, stop. Look. 5 paces back. Repeat. It's what they told you to do. Keep moving. Keep looking. Stay awake, you do. Because somewhere out there, someone else might be doing the same. Down the line, a man sneezes. 3 heads turn at once. It's not him they're angry at. Not really. It's the risk. The reminder. The fact that silence can break at any moment. And once broken, it doesn't always mend. You crouch for a moment, adjusting your boot laces. There's mud between the seams now. Cold and sticky. Feels like it's been there for weeks. Maybe it has. You stand again, stretch your back, and lean against the trench wall. From above, you hear nothing. No planes. No wind. Just stillness. As if the world itself has stopped to sleep. But you don't. Not yet. Not tonight. You hold the rifle closer and stare into the dark, where friend and foe might be separated only by breath and fog. You listen to the ground. You count your heartbeats. And you wait. It begins just before dawn. A low whistle in the air. You hear it before you feel it. The faint rising pitch of something falling from the sky. Then the ground lurches beneath you. Dirt sprays upward like a wave crashing on a silent beach. The shock moves through your boots, through your bones. Then another, and another. The barrage starts slow, measured, but within minutes, It grows, thunder rolling across the earth. The trench walls shake. Mud falls in clumps from the ceiling overhead. You press your body to the side, chin low, breath held. Someone shouts a name. No answer. Then boots thunder down the trench line, splashing through puddles. Orders passed hand to hand, word to word, barely heard over the din. Stand to. Rifles ready. They're coming. You rise. Your hands move automatically, chin strap fastened, bayonet fixed, rifle held steady. You look up over the trench wall, just briefly. The sky is grey, not from clouds, but from smoke. A flat, drifting haze that turns the world pale and silent even as it screams around you. Then shapes emerge from that fog. Figures. Dozens. Maybe hundreds. You can't count. They move like shadows pulled forward by a thread. The first shots crack down the line. Not from you, but from someone to your right. A response to the figures drawing closer. You raise your rifle, sight down the barrel, but it's hard to aim through fog, through shaking breath. You fire once. The recoil jerks through your shoulder. Then again, and again. The enemy isn't far now. You hear them shouting, not words you understand, just raw sound, like animals in storm. Someone throws a flare. It bursts above the no man's land, casting long shadows against the mud. You can see more now. The glint of helmets, the dark lines of rifles clutched tight. They return fire. Dirt kicks up just inches from your boots. Your shoulder hits the trench wall as you duck low again. Someone beside you screams for reloads. Another curses the mud, jamming his rifle. Then, whistles. Loud. Several of them. Yours or theirs, you don't know. It doesn't matter. A hand pats your shoulder from behind, hard, twice. Time to climb. Time to go. You grip the ladder, heart pounding. Boot on the lowest rung. And then you're up, rising into a world choked with fog and fire. Your boots meet the earth above. It's soaked. Sticky. You move forward, rifle up, eyes scanning left to right. Figures move through the smoke. Some crawling, some running, some fallen. The air buzzes with bullets. You drop low, crawl forward behind a collapsed log. Someone lands beside you, panting. It's the runner from your unit. He nods. You both look forward. Then, with a breath, you rise again. One step at a time. The line surges. Your squad pushes forward. Not fast, but steady. You don't think. You move. A crack. Someone falls. Another flare lights the field. The trench behind you fades into shadow. Ahead, the enemy retreats. For now. By the time it's over, the world is quiet again. No victory cries. No music. Just the slow return of breathing and the weight of your limbs. You sit on a torn sandbag and let your rifle rest across your knees. Somewhere, the sun is rising behind the smoke. But you can't see it. Only the glow through the mist. You close your eyes and listen. The order comes in silence. A nod from your lieutenant. A glance passed down the line. There's no shouting, no fanfare. Just a quiet understanding. You're moving forward. Into their trenches. The terrain before you isn't ground anymore. It's mud. Deep, clinging mud that grabs your boots and holds tight. Every step is a battle in itself. Your legs strain. You lean forward into the wind. The fog has begun to lift, but the air still hangs with smoke. The sharp sting of cordite and damp rot in your nostrils. You don't speak. No one does. Ahead, broken shapes rise out of the earth. Shattered barricades, collapsed timber frames, wire twisted like frozen vines. The enemy line isn't far. You can see glimpses now. The lip of their trench, the jagged outline of a periscope, a helmet that doesn't move. You wonder if it's empty, or if someone is watching from beneath it, waiting. Movement slows as you reach the outer edge. You drop low beside a crater. A massive shell hole, filled with dark water. The lieutenant signals again. 2 men peel off to the left. You go right, your rifle close to your chest, bayonet still fixed. Every footstep must be quiet. Every breath shallow. You reach the parapet, their trench wall, and crouch against it. The earth here is rough, piled up with sandbags torn and spilling. You listen. The world has narrowed to the sound of your own breath, the faint tapping of boots against boards. Somewhere below, you hear a cough. Someone is down there, still alive, still holding the line. With a breath, you climb over. The descent is short but heavy. Your boots hit the duckboards with a muffled thud. Your back presses to the trench wall. It's darker down here, colder. The wood beneath your boots is soaked and soft. You can smell oil, earth, and smoke, and something else, the stale, sour scent of fear that never quite fades. You move forward, slow, deliberate. Your rifle held tight. The trench is narrow, barely shoulder width in some places, with curves and sharp angles that hide whatever lies ahead. Your heart beats in your ears. You check every corner, every dugout, every shadow. There's a low creak ahead. Someone moving. Your finger tenses on the trigger, but it's one of yours. Another soldier from the second wave, crouched behind a pile of fallen boards. He signals clear, but gestures ahead, deeper into the line. You nod and continue. Advancing like this feels unnatural. Trenches are made to be defended. Every angle favors the ones already inside. You're walking into a maze they know far better than you. Every step could be the one where it all changes. But still, you go on. A turn to the left, a dugout door, half open. You glance inside, empty but warm. A small lamp left burning on a shelf. Whoever was here left recently. You pause. It feels strange, stepping into another world like this. The trench is not just enemy ground, it's lived in. There are blankets on a bench, a mug left on a crate, boot prints in the mud still fresh. Outside, the wind shifts. The faint sound of gunfire still echoes far off, but here, it's quiet again. Not safe, never safe, but quiet. You exhale and keep moving, step by step, rifle ready, eyes scanning. It happens in an instant. A sharp crack cuts through the quiet. Then another, and another. They've seen you. The enemy is awake now. Their line, once silent, erupts with fire. Bullets tear through the still air. You drop low, back pressed against the trench wall, heart pounding. Your ears fill with sound. The crackle of rifles, the bark of machine guns. Wood splinters near your head as a shot hits a beam beside you. Dust rains down in tiny puffs. Someone shouts. A warning, maybe a name. You don't have time to think. You just move. Your boots pound against the duckboards as you charge forward. The trench curves left, then right, a jagged, unpredictable path. You fire without aiming, covering the next turn. The smoke thickens, curling around the earth like mist. The sharp scent of metal and mud grows stronger. Behind you, your comrades join the fight. Their boots thud, rifles flash, voices rise in bursts. You catch a glimpse of the lieutenant pointing forward, calling something out, barely heard over the storm. Then he's gone behind the next corner. You follow. The trench is alive now. Echoes bounce off the walls. You see a figure rise ahead, enemy uniform. You don't wait. A burst of fire. Short, controlled. They vanish behind a splintered crate. You rush past, heart hammering, shoulder brushing the wall. The rain starts again. A soft patter at first, then heavier. Falling into the trench, turning dust to mud in seconds. It coats your sleeves, clings to your boots, mixes with the smoke. Everything becomes slick, unsteady. But you don't stop. The trench narrows again. You hear shouting in a language not your own. Close. Very close. Another burst of fire. This one from the right. You turn and fire back. The The flash lights up a face for a brief second, eyes wide in shock. Then nothing. You press forward. It's hard to see now. Rain mixes with smoke. Your rifle is heavy, slick in your hands. You wipe it against your coat and keep going. Your breath comes fast, but your mind stays quiet, focused. One corner at a time. One moment after the next. Another figure ahead. Closer this time. Too close. You react without thinking. A quick shove. A strike with your rifle's butt. He stumbles back into the wall and vanishes from view. You don't stop to see if he's still moving. There's no time. The world shrinks. To this trench. This mud. This smoke and rain. To the breath in your chest and the rhythm of your steps. Your comrades are still behind you, moving through the smoke, covering the flanks. You press deeper into the line, closer to their stronghold. The gunfire doesn't stop. It comes in waves, intense, then fading, then rising again. A rhythm like thunder, each echo shaking the ground beneath you. You wonder if the trench will collapse, if the next corner hides a dozen rifles. But you keep moving, always forward. The trench opens wider. You pause behind a broken support beam. Rain trickles from your helmet, dripping down the side of your neck. Ahead, through the fog and shifting smoke, a dugout entrance. Wooden beams form its frame. It's half collapsed, but still holding. You gesture to the two behind you. One nods, rifle raised. The other kneels, ready to cover. Your boots squelch in the mud as you move up, slow and steady. The entrance yawns open, black and quiet. No fire, no sound, but it doesn't feel empty. You glance at your comrade. He gives the signal. You grip your rifle tight and step inside. The dugout smells of oil and damp wood. It's narrow, claustrophobic. Lamps still flicker faintly, their glow casting long shadows on the walls. You move down the short slope, eyes scanning. A sudden noise, behind a curtain of hanging tarp. You freeze, breath held. The barrel of your rifle lifts, but nothing moves. You step forward and pull the tarp aside, fast, clean. It's a supply rack. Old rations, a rusted kettle. Empty. You exhale. Just a shadow. Outside, gunfire still echoes, but it's more distant now. The main trench is holding. You step back out into the open. The others are already pressing on, clearing more corners. Checking side tunnels, you join them. A rhythm has formed now. Efficient, practiced. Advance, clear, signal, move. You find a pocket of resistance, a short burst of rifle fire from a corner. It clips the edge of the wall near you, showering you in dirt. Your squadmate tosses a smoke canister. White clouds bloom, blinding and thick. You move through it, boots dragging. One figure runs past in panic, unarmed, shouting. You let him go. Eventually, the trench calms. You crouch behind a wall and listen. Gunfire is now distant, muffled by fog and rain. Voices echo down the trench, calling out in low tones. You recognize one, a friend, shouting your name. You wave from behind cover and rejoin him. He grins through mud-covered teeth. Almost took the whole flank. The lieutenant calls for a temporary hold. Your squad regroups behind a large stack of crates. Someone lights a cigarette, shielding the flame from the rain. You sit, finally still. The cold mud seeps into your clothes, but your body doesn't care. You made it through the push. For now. Above the trench, thunder rolls in the distance. The rain continues its steady rhythm. The trench is quiet, not in peace, but in recovery, like the breath taken between storms. You sit back, eyes watching the grey horizon, rifle across your lap. Waiting, always waiting. Night falls slowly, as if reluctant to cover the battlefield. The fog thickens as the sun vanishes behind dark clouds, barely making a difference in the grey light. Lanterns are lit within the trenches, but their glow is quickly swallowed by the mist. You sit beside a timber post, helmet tilted down, breathing slow. The cold creeps in deeper now. The lieutenant walks down the line quiet and stern. He stops beside your group. "Night patrol," he mutters. "You and 2 others are chosen. No protests. No ceremony. Just nods and movement." You gather your rifle, a small map, and your worn field cap. The heavy coat clings to your back as you rise. You climb out of the trench slowly, fingers gripping the rough wooden ladder. At the top, the world is still and breathless. No moon, no stars. Only the sound of water dripping and the wind dragging across shattered trees. You crouch low and start moving forward, one boot at a time. Mud sucks at your soles. The land ahead is unfamiliar. No man's land, but not as torn apart as other places. There are dips, collapsed craters, old bodies half sunken in the mud. Every shape looks like someone moving. You check them all. Most are just torn coats or broken branches. Still, you keep your finger on the trigger. Your squad mate taps your shoulder and points ahead. A wire line, barbed and rusted. Beyond it, faint light from an enemy position, hidden behind sandbags and canvas. You're close now. Too close. But this is what you were sent for. Observation, not attack. You drop to your stomach, crawling through the mud. Slow, steady. A dead horse lies nearby, ribs poking through its hide. Flies don't even bother anymore. Your comrade slides beside it, binoculars raised. He squints through the fog. "Movement," he whispers. You both freeze. Minutes pass. Nothing changes. Just shifting shadows and flickering flame. Then a shape. 2 enemy soldiers walking the edge of their trench. You all stay flat, barely breathing. They stop, look out, then turn away. Patrol over. You wait longer, then slowly retreat. Same crawl, same mud, same weight pressing on your chest. Behind you, the front lines glow with scattered flares and muted thunder. You reach the trench and slide down. Boots hit wood. Safe. For now. No one says much. You return to your corner, peeling off your soaked gloves. Your breath fogs in the cold air. A ration tin is passed around, barely warm, but welcome. You lean your head against the trench wall. Somewhere, distant artillery thumps. It's a rhythm now, like a heartbeat you've grown used to. A lullaby of war. You wake to the sound of nothing. No gunfire. No shouting. Not even the whistle of wind between the broken trench walls. Just quiet. You blink and shift, your back sore from the trench floor. The others around you stir the same way, slowly, cautiously. Because quiet doesn't mean safe. A low fog clings to the ground like a blanket, thick and unmoving. The kind that hides movement, or muffles sound. You climb up just enough to peer over the trench wall. Nothing. Just the grey shape of no man's land, motionless and undisturbed. The mud is still. The barbed wire is still. Even the birds are silent. Someone beside you mutters, "Too quiet." He's not wrong. Usually there's the occasional crack of distant rifles or the thud of far-off shells. But not today. Not this morning. You sit back down and begin cleaning your rifle out of habit, hands moving slow. The silence presses on you, heavier than the mud on your boots. Then, movement. A runner appears down the line, boots slapping against the boards. He slows as he reaches your section and delivers word. Eyes sharp. Something's off. They think it's a build-up. You nod, heart rate rising, but your face calm. This isn't new. It's just another kind of waiting. Time passes. You eat a small breakfast, stale bread and a can of beans warmed over a candle flame. You can barely taste it. Everyone eats in silence, ears straining for signs of life on the other side of the fog. But there's nothing. The longer it stays quiet, the more your stomach knots. Then, just before noon, a faint sound. Whistles, far off, several at once. Then the distant pop of rifles, scattered and weak. You freeze, listening hard. Another whistle, closer this time. You stand, raising your rifle, just as an officer calls out, "Hold positions." They're not attacking yet. Or maybe they are, just not here. The day drags. Afternoon comes with low clouds and a biting wind. Still, no engagement. But you can feel it now. They're moving, repositioning, doing something. Everyone knows it. Even the new guys have gone quiet. You clean your weapon again. For the third time, just to keep your hands busy. Night approaches. Still no attack. Still no sound. The fog returns, thicker than before. Visibility drops to just a few feet ahead. Your squad leader orders a double watch. You're up next. You settle into your position at the edge of the trench, eyes locked forward, ears tuned to every scrape and crunch. The quiet has become a companion, an unwelcome one, but familiar. Your watch begins quietly. You sit low, rifle across your lap, the wooden trench wall at your back cold and damp. The fog is dense. Even with eyes wide, you can't see more than a few meters ahead. Every shape becomes a question, every sound a threat. An hour passes. You shift your weight, gloved fingers tightening around the barrel of your rifle. Behind you, others sleep in brief shifts, heads resting against muddy planks, coats pulled tight. A rat scurries near your boot and vanishes into the dark. You exhale slowly. Still nothing. Then you hear it. A faint crunch. One footstep. Just one. You freeze. Ears straining. Another. And another. Slow. Careful. Deliberate. You rise slightly, peeking over the trench edge. But the fog is thick, white and endless. You tap your nearest comrade gently and nod toward the front. No words. He understands. Both of you grip your rifles and scan. Then it happens. A sharp cry cuts through the night, followed by a burst of gunfire. Then another, then yelling, not far. Inside the fog. Inside no man's land. Stand to, comes the order down the trench. Boots slam against wooden planks. Men spring up, rifles raised, peering into the mist. You do the same, heart pounding. Another shot echoes, closer this time. Then two figures appear at the edge of the trench, running. One of them stumbles and falls. The other drops beside him, firing blindly into the white. A flare goes up. It lights the fog in a strange red glow. Shapes begin to form. Soldiers, moving low, advancing through the mist. Enemy. They're close. You aim, heart thudding in your chest. The first shot you take is steady, practiced. You don't even think. Just react. More shouts rise around you. The trench erupts into scattered fire. No full assault, just a small raiding party. You realize that now. They're not trying to take the trench. They're trying to cause chaos, take prisoners, or gather intel. You crouch lower and fire again, watching shadows move, duck and vanish. One enemy climbs the lip of the trench just 5 meters from you. Your comrade catches him with the butt of his rifle before he can fully emerge. He tumbles backward into the fog. Gone. Another flare. More confusion. They're retreating now. Quickly. You don't chase. You hold position. Minutes pass. Then calm. The fog eats the sound again. You breathe deeply, trying to slow your heart. One of your squad mates reloads with shaking fingers. Another leans against the trench wall, wiping mud and sweat from his brow. The officer walks by slowly. "All accounted for?" he asks. Nods. No casualties. Just a scare. You sit again, eyes forward. Fingers still curled around the rifle. The quiet returns. But it's not the same. Now, you know what it hides. You settle into the cold once more. Eyes open. Waiting. Morning light doesn't break. It seeps in. A dull, pale glow that barely makes a difference through the fog. You sit with your back to the trench wall, knees drawn up, rifle across your lap. Your breath hangs in the air like smoke. The others stir slowly, quietly. Sleep was shallow and short. The officer walks the line. His boots squish softly in the mud as he checks each of you with a nod. Patrol's heading out. He mutters, "You're on it." You nod. You expected that. After a raid, they always send a small group out to see what was left behind, or what might be waiting. You stand, legs stiff, pack adjusted, bayonet checked. The group gathers. 5 men, including you. Your boots are heavy as you step onto the fire step, then up and over the trench wall. The fog hasn't lifted. It never really does. It just hovers, waiting, watching. No man's land greets you like an old memory. Silent, still, uneasy. You walk carefully, eyes on the twisted wire ahead. Your breath is steady, but your hands are tight around your rifle. Mud sucks at your boots. Shattered helmets and torn cloth peek through frozen puddles. Someone points. A figure lies face down, just past a shell crater. You approach slowly, cautiously. It's an enemy soldier. Young, no older than 20. His coat is soaked through. His eyes are open, but still. You check his pockets. A map. No markings you can read, but something, at least. You press forward. Another 10 meters. More signs. Footprints, fresh in the mud. They pulled back fast. Left things behind. A torn satchel here. An ammo pouch there. Nothing valuable, but everything tells a story. And your officer will want to know that story. Then something strange. One of the men gestures toward a bundle near the wire. You all approach. It's a crate, small, wooden, partially buried in muck. You dig it out with bare hands. Inside, tins of food, labeled in a language you don't speak, but you recognize the shape. Rations. Abandoned. Or left on purpose. You take a moment. The patrol crouches low, rifles pointed out. Watching. Listening. Fog presses in on all sides. Then, a sound. Faint. A cough. Someone just ahead. You freeze. The lead man raises his hand. Everyone drops low. There's movement just beyond the wire. Could be another soldier. Could be someone wounded. Or worse, a trap. You wait. Still, the coughing stops. You begin to back away. Slow, measured steps. No one speaks. Each of you takes one last look at the fog-covered shape and then turns. Back through the mud. Back to the trench. Back to the safety of known discomfort. You say nothing, but you feel it. The war never truly rests, even when the guns do. You return to the trench, mud trailing behind you like a second skin. The others look up, eyes hollow with questions they don't ask. You drop the ration crate on the wooden ledge. The officer nods, says nothing. He knows enough just by looking at your face. You sit back in your usual spot, head resting against the cold, packed earth. For a moment, it feels calm. Then, a distant whistle. You recognize the sound. Artillery. The explosion isn't near. Not this time. It thuds a few hundred meters down the line. But the vibrations still hit your chest. Then another. Closer. The dirt around you shakes slightly. You grip the sides of the trench without thinking. A reflex by now. Shells begin to rain down, slow and spaced. It's not a barrage. It's a probe. Testing. Feeling. One lands farther behind the line, near the supply dump. Another too far left. Still too close. You press against the trench wall, eyes shut, counting the seconds between whistles and impact. The next shell hits closer. You feel the air punch through your lungs. Muffled screams follow. You don't move. Training and fear root you to the mud. Above, chunks of earth rain down. Small rocks bounce off your helmet. Then silence. Not peaceful. Just the kind of silence that makes you hold your breath. You wait. A minute. Then another. No more shells. You exhale slowly. The attack has passed for now. The trench smells of damp cloth, gunpowder, and something burnt. A runner rushes past with a note clenched in hand. His boots splash through puddles. his coat flapping behind him like a torn flag. You stay seated, still listening, still alert. Even when nothing is happening, something always is. Later, while checking sandbags near the trench edge, you hear a strange metallic clink. You crouch, peering over slightly. There's a small crater nearby. Steam still rises from the center. Inside, half buried in the mud, is a dud shell. Didn't explode. Didn't kill. You step back slowly. Luck. Or maybe not your time. Back in the dugout, a fellow soldier passes you a metal cup of water. It's lukewarm and tastes faintly of soil. You drink it anyway. Across from you, someone sharpens a knife with a small rock. There's no reason for it. Just a habit. Something to do with the hands. The war teaches you patience, teaches you stillness. But most of all, it teaches you how to wait. Wait for orders. Wait for food. Wait for noise. Wait for death. And above all, wait for morning, hoping it brings light and not more fog. The rain has stopped, but the damage it left behind is obvious. Sandbags have split open, slumping like tired shoulders along the trench wall. A section near the front has caved in slightly, forming a shallow pool of standing water. Mud swallows boots if you step too fast. Repairs are needed. Immediately, the officer assigns small crews. You're placed with 2 others, men you've barely spoken to, but whose faces have become as familiar as your own reflection. You grab a shovel from the equipment rack. The handle is damp and splintered from countless hands before yours. No one speaks much, just nods and gets to work. You start near the collapse. One man digs, the other stacks fresh sandbags. You rotate every few minutes to avoid exhaustion. The mud is thick, clinging like it doesn't want to let go. Each scoop feels heavier than the last. But this is routine now. This is survival. Above, the sky is grey but open. Clouds drift slowly, occasionally casting long shadows over the trench. You pause once looking up. There's always a risk working in daylight. Enemy scouts, snipers, but the repairs can't wait. And so the risk is accepted, unspoken, felt, endured. The digging unearths strange things. A rusted spoon, half a boot, a bullet casing. Once, the torn edge of a coat, still wrapped around something you don't want to look at. You cover it again. Move a little further down. No words. Just a silent agreement to leave the past buried. The fresh sandbags are stacked tightly now. 2 rows thick. You pack the mud behind them, patting it down with the back of the shovel. It needs to hold. At least for the next rain. Or the next explosion. Whichever comes first. Another crew further down is reinforcing the firing step. The raised section used to peer over the edge. You glance at them occasionally. Their quiet work mirrors your own. Small movements. Careful steps. The trench is like a living body, and you are tending to its wounds. Later, someone finds a broken support beam in a covered section. You all work together, replacing it with a salvage timber. You wedge it in place, driving nails with the back of a spade. Every sound echoes slightly, like the trench is listening, waiting, breathing. As evening draws near, the light dims. Shadows stretch across the wooden planks. You wipe your forehead with a sleeve. The repair is complete. The trench, for now, is secure. It feels like an accomplishment. Even if you know the next shell could undo it in seconds. You sit on an overturned crate and rest. The shovel leans beside you, coated in thick mud. The air is damp but calm. In the distance, gunfire echoes faintly, as it always does. You don't flinch anymore, only listen. As the trench settles into quiet once again, night has fallen. The trench is veiled in shadows. Only faint glows from oil lamps flicker in dugouts, casting soft golden halos on muddy walls. The usual chatter is subdued. The men are quiet. Even the distant gunfire feels muffled, like the war itself is holding its breath. You're summoned by the sergeant. A short briefing, barely a whisper night patrol. Simple objective. Scout a section of no man's land, check for signs of enemy movement, and return before first light. You nod. You've done this before. But it never gets easier. You prepare in silence. Bayonet fixed. Boots checked. Your jacket is snug against the cold. A strip of cloth tied around your helmet keeps it from reflecting any light. Your heart beats slow, steady, heavy. Not fear, just awareness. The mind sharpens in the dark. The fire step is slick with moisture. You climb up carefully, a hand on the wooden ledge, eyes scanning the blackness beyond the trench. The sergeant gives the nod. You and two others, each spaced a few meters apart, climb over. Boots sinking quietly into the mud beyond the wall. No words, only movement. No man's land feels like another world at night. Everything is flattened by shadow. The shapes of twisted metal, shattered tree stumps, and craters stretch around you like ghosts. You crouch low and move slowly, pausing every few steps. Listening. Feeling. Smelling the dampness in the earth and the smoke that never leaves the air. You reach a small crater and take cover inside. Your partner, a few meters away, signals with a hand. All clear so far. The third man is ahead, barely visible in the dark. You wait, watch, hear only your own breath. The wind rustles something nearby. Maybe a loose scrap of uniform. Maybe not. Time passes differently in the dark. Seconds feel stretched, long and thin. You scan the edge of the enemy trench. Faint outlines barely distinguishable from the horizon. You think you see movement, but it could be nothing. The darkness plays tricks, so you wait. Another minute, then two. The signal comes. A faint flash of light from a pocket mirror. The return cue. It means the observation is complete. No new enemy defenses, no movement. No mines. Just silence. For now, you move back slowly. Every step is deliberate, avoiding barbed wire and loose debris. The trench wall appears ahead like a great gash in the earth. One by one, your team slips back inside. A few claps on the shoulder. No words. Just the quiet return to the familiar dark. You sit down again on the crate where you rested earlier. Someone offers you a bit of biscuit from a ration tin. You take it, chew slowly. The trench smells like old canvas, iron, and wet earth. You close your eyes for a moment. Sleep won't come easily. But you rest anyway, listening to the soft hush of boots and whispers, and the war beyond the horizon. You wake to the dim morning light, filtering through the damp canvas above your head. Your breath fogs in the cold air. There's no alarm, no voice calling out. Just the slow rustling of others waking, stretching and shifting in the narrow trench corridors. It's a rare kind of quiet. A moment before the world remembers it's at war again. The quartermaster comes down the line, handing out a few scraps of mail. He pauses near your post. Name. He grunts. You answer, voice still hoarse from sleep. He hands you a folded envelope, worn at the edges, smudged by weather and time. Your name is scribbled across the front in familiar handwriting. It's from home. You sit down on a dry patch of crate, legs crossed, back against the sandbag wall. You open it slowly, careful not to tear the edge. Inside is a single sheet of paper, folded twice, and a faint smell. Maybe from the drawer it was kept in, or the scent of someone you miss. You smooth the paper with your hands and begin to read. Dearest, I hope this reaches you safely. We've heard that the post sometimes gets lost, but I send a letter each week, just in case. It's quiet here at home. The fields are empty, and the days are slow without the sound of your boots coming down the steps each morning. You smile faintly. That rhythm of normal life feels like another universe now. Your brother is still working the farm with father. He's grown stronger, though he's not quite as serious as you were at his age. Mother insists on setting an extra plate at the table every night. Says she'll keep doing it until you're home. The town had its first snow last week. Just a light dusting. Enough to make the rooftops white. The kind you used to say made the house look like a cake. I wish you could have seen it. Your eyes scan the next line slower. The noise of the trench fades as your thoughts drift to the warmth of the fireplace, the old wooden floors, the clatter of dishes in the kitchen. It feels unreal, that life. Not in a sad way. Just far away. Like a story someone once told you. We're all thinking of you. I lit a candle at the chapel again, just like always. I know you'd roll your eyes, but I do it anyway. You're stronger than you think. We all believe in you. Come home when you can. Until then, keep your head down. We're proud of you. All my love. You fold the letter carefully and tuck it into the inside pocket of your coat. You feel warmer somehow. Not from the cold, but from something softer. Something that reminds you who you were before the mud, before the gunfire, before all this. Around you, the trench stirs again. The sergeant calls for another detail to dig out a collapsed section. Someone curses quietly about breakfast being nothing but dry biscuits again. The war continues. But for now, in the soft light of morning, you carry a little piece of peace folded against your chest. The letter rests inside your coat, close to your heart. You tap it lightly through the fabric. Just once. As if to remind yourself that it's real. Then you rise, brushing dirt from your trousers, the damp of the ground clinging to your knees. Another day. Another march through mud and routine. The trench is busier now. The sun doesn't rise so much as it fades the night into a bleak grey. You sit with your back against the trench wall, boots half, submerged in muck, rifle across your knees. The letter from home still tucked safe inside your jacket. The paper is soft now, worn from being read too many times. You don't need to look at it to remember every word. A faint whistle cuts the air. Not sharp, not close. Yet. A single artillery shell lands far down the line. Then silence again. But you know what follows? It's never just one. Second stretch, breath held. And then, another. Closer. The earth shudders slightly under you, like a distant growl rumbling through the soles of your feet. Everyone starts moving, but without panic. Just precision born of habit. Helmets adjusted. Rifles checked. Ammunition pouches opened. No one speaks. You glance over the trench lip for a second. Just a sliver of your eyes above the mud-crusted sandbags. Nothing but fog and barbed wire fields. But the sound of boots through wet earth echoes somewhere out there. The lieutenant appears from the dugout, maps rolled in his hand, face paler than usual. He gives a few sharp nods to the NCOs. Word spreads without shouting. The enemy is staging a push, somewhere west of your position. Not confirmed, but they're close. You grip your rifle tighter. Your fingers are already numb from the cold. But now they feel stiff for another reason. Not fear, just anticipation. That simmering pressure again. The calm before anything happens. The kind of moment where you hear everything. Distant coughing, boots shuffling. The drip of water from a makeshift tarp above. A click of someone chambering around. You're sent to rotate into a forward listening post. A narrow extension dug toward no man's land. One of the worst places to be if anything happens. You crawl into the post with another soldier. Harris, who's only been here a month. He doesn't talk much, but his eyes are wide. Too wide. You rest beside him, peering through the slit in the trench wall, watching, waiting. For almost half an hour, nothing. And then, a figure moves. Barely a silhouette in the haze. It disappears as fast as it appeared. You and Harris look at each other, both unsure. A bird, a trick of the fog, or Another figure, this one clearer, closer. You tap on the wood to alert the trench behind. 3 short knocks. The pre-arranged signal. Back in the trench, you slide into position behind a small mound of sandbags. The officer barks something muffled down the line. Can't quite make it out. The fog thickens again, but now the distant gunfire begins. Far off, then closer. You ready yourself? The day is about to change. The fog starts to pull back, just slightly. A cold wind creeps through the broken land, sliding between the shattered trees and over the craters filled with water and blood. Your eyes scan the shifting grey ahead. Shapes, too many to count now, begin to form. Not birds, not shadows. Men. Marching. Careful. Spaced apart. Low to the ground. The first shot comes from your left. Sharp. Clean. It cracks through the morning like lightning through silence. One of the advancing shapes stumbles. Falls. You don't see it move again. That single shot breaks the stillness. Within seconds, the world changes. Gunfire erupts from your trench line, automatic bursts, and scattered rifle cracks. The fog still clings to the middle of no man's land, giving the enemy cover. But they know where you are. Everyone does. You aim down your rifle and fire. Can't tell if you hit anything. Just shapes and sounds and smoke. Someone yells for more ammunition. Someone else screams, short, sharp, and then gone. You duck as bullets thud into the mud near your position. The fog is lifting now, pushed by wind and gunfire. The battlefield becomes clearer, every detail sharp and terrible. Barbed wire tangles everywhere. Shell holes swallow the brave and the unlucky. You see an enemy soldier sprint between cover. He drops down, returns fire. Another follows. Then 3 more. A coordinated push. You adjust your position, breathe steady, and fire again. The lieutenant appears just long enough to yell something about the left flank. You don't catch it. But it doesn't matter. You shift positions, crawling through wet soil, past bodies you don't recognize. Some move. Some don't. Someone is sobbing quietly into their sleeve. You keep going. No time to stop. You reach a section where the sandbags are blown open. Just a crater in the wall now. An NCO waves you down, pointing to the field. Another squad is moving out of the enemy trench. Advancing fast. Too fast. Bayonets! Someone shouts. The command spreads down the line. You fix yours to the end of your rifle. Hands shaking, but not from fear. Just from the cold. That's what you tell yourself. Then they're here. You don't remember firing your rifle again. It's all motion now. Yelling. Clashing metal. Boots slipping in mud. Your shoulder slams into someone. Your rifle pushing back against a body. There's grunting. Heavy breaths. A flash. Then another. You end up back in the trench, lungs burning. Ears ringing. Your helmet is gone. You don't remember losing it. Your rifle is muddy and empty. You grab another from the ground, reload, and fire back into the melee. The fog is gone now. All that's left is smoke, shouting, and movement, and the acrid smell of burned powder and earth. The battle lasts minutes, or maybe hours, you're not sure. But eventually it stops. Silence spreads again, like water seeping into broken ground. The kind of silence that makes you breathe again, and wonder who made it through. The smoke still hangs in the air, like a memory refusing to fade. Your chest rises and falls slow now. You're kneeling beside the trench wall, back pressed against cold, damp earth. Breath visible in the chill. Everything is quieter, but not silent. Far in the distance, the soft rattle of gunfire continues. Not in your sector, just far enough to sound like thunder from another world. You glance upward. The sky is heavy with grey clouds, a veil drawn tight across the world. You wonder if the sun even exists anymore. Your uniform is soaked. From the rain, from crawling, from the trench itself. The ground beneath you has turned soft. Sponge-like. You shift and it squelches. Somewhere nearby, someone coughs. Another soldier mumbles to himself, rocking gently. A medic walks by. He doesn't stop. His eyes are focused, scanning for anyone still needing attention. You're not sure whether to feel grateful or forgotten. The trench wall has collapsed in one section. A team of sappers has begun placing planks and shoveling out the worst of it. You join them without being asked. No one talks. Just the sound of shovels, dirt, breath. A low murmur of men trying to hold back a world that keeps slipping out of shape. The enemy isn't firing now, not actively. But you know they're there. Always. You spot a helmet wedged between two boards in the mud. Someone lifts it with the tip of a stick. A single crack rings out. The helmet jerks back and falls. Sniper. A quiet message delivered with one bullet. Still here. Everyone ducks. No one says anything. After a moment, the world continues. The shovels pick up again. The quiet mumble of routine returns. Even danger becomes normal eventually. You sit back tired. You pull a can of something from your pack, not even sure what it is. Doesn't matter. You eat, slowly. The food is cold, metallic, but it helps. Just the act of eating. Behind you, someone starts humming, a low, droning tune. No one tells him to stop. It fills the trench gently, like smoke curling in corners. It doesn't bring comfort, but it keeps the silence from feeling too wide. A captain walks past, clipboard in hand, speaking quietly with a sergeant. Plans being made, orders shifting again. But you're not asked for anything, not now. Now you're just breathing, waiting, existing. And in war, sometimes that's all you can do. There's a kind of stillness that creeps in after days like these. Not peace, just absence. You sit alone for a while, elbows on your knees, eyes unfocused. The others are around, but your mind starts to blur the shapes. Everything feels a bit distant, like you're behind glass, watching yourself from the other side. The trench hums with quiet activity. Boots on wooden planks, a kettle hissing somewhere, the dull clink of tools. But your thoughts are louder than the world, and they never stop. You think about time. How it's hard to tell one day from the next. Every morning blends with the night before, and nothing feels separate anymore. You wake in the same place, see the same faces, hear the same sounds. You dream, but your dreams look just like the day, sometimes worse. There's always tension. Even when nothing is happening, maybe especially then, your body doesn't relax, even when you're lying down, even when your eyes are closed. There's always a part of you awake, listening, tensing, waiting for the next whistle, the next crack of gunfire, the next voice yelling something urgent in the dark. And it gets to you, not all at once, but slowly, like water dripping onto stone. At first you don't notice, but weeks go by, and you realize you've started to forget how silence used to sound, or what fresh bread smelled like, or what it felt like to walk on solid, dry ground. Your hands shake sometimes, without cause. Your heart races at harmless noises. You feel tired, then wide awake, then exhausted again, all within an hour. It's hard to explain. You're not scared, exactly. You've moved beyond fear. It's something else, something deeper. Like your nerves are frayed wires buzzing under the skin. A friend. The one who hums sometimes. Told you he counts bricks in the trench wall to stay calm. Another guy talks to his rifle like it's a pet. No one laughs. Everyone has something. Some way of holding themselves together. You're not even sure what yours is. Maybe this. Just sitting. Breathing. noticing things. You try to picture home. You know the streets. You know the front door. But somehow, it feels like you're remembering someone else's life, not yours. Yours is here now, with the mud, the wood, the uniforms, the sky that never quite clears. And that's the hardest part. Knowing that the you who existed before the war might not be there when you get back. If you get back. But you breathe, you blink, you sit in the trench and exist. And for now, that's enough. The sky is a washed-out grey today. Not stormy. Not clear, just grey. It hangs low over the trench, pressing everything down. You wake up slower than usual, your body aching from the damp wood beneath your coat. There's no rush to stand, no call to arms. Just another day, beginning like all the others. A thin mist lingers over the no man's land. You can barely see past the barbed wire. It's the kind of quiet that feels temporary, like something's waiting just out of sight, but never comes. You almost prefer the noise. At least with noise, you know where you stand. The others are moving quietly, a few cleaning their rifles. One lad is writing something by lantern light. Could be a letter, or maybe just scribbles to pass time. No one speaks unless they need to. You've learned how to say a lot without words. A glance, a nod, a quick tap on the shoulder. It's efficient and silent. You keep your routine. Boots checked, rations packed, water canteen topped off from the latest delivery. Even when nothing's expected, the routine matters. It gives shape to the day, makes the hours pass. One of the senior men, Wilkins, with the deep voice and missing front tooth, shares a quiet story about the last time he saw real trees. Not shattered ones, not stumps, a full forest. He says the wind made a sound like whispers when it moved through the leaves. You try to imagine it, but your mind gives you the rustle of wet canvas instead. There's talk of rotating out soon. Nothing confirmed. Just whispers passed along the line. A fresh unit might come in and give your group a rest. A few days away from the front. No one really believes it until it happens. Still, the idea plants itself in the back of your mind. A fire, maybe. A clean shirt. Sleep without your boots on. It's a fragile kind of hope, but it's something. In the distance, a lone bird flies overhead. You watch it until it disappears into the grey. The world keeps moving, even out here, even in the quiet, even when the days feel like they never change. You spend part of the morning cleaning the trench wall. It's not a task anyone volunteers for, but it has to be done. The mud caves in slowly over time, and if it's left alone, it collapses entirely. You scrape and pack the sides with care. It's strange how much effort goes into keeping a place like this livable. But it's your shelter, your shield, your waiting room. A few meters away, someone hums under their breath. A soft, barely, their melody. You don't recognize the tune, but it sounds familiar. Like something you might have heard in a cafe or through an open window once. It fades after a minute. The silence returns like a blanket. You walk the line slowly, not on patrol, just moving, looking for signs of damage, weakness in the supports, anything unusual. It's a habit now. The eyes learn what's normal and what isn't. You pass by sandbags half, frozen in the morning cold, and bundles of wire that haven't been used in weeks. Your hands brush the wooden support beams without thinking. Still solid. Still holding. A message comes down the trench, scribbled pencil on a slip of brown paper. No attack planned. No movement on the other side. Just a reminder to stay alert and conserve rations. You fold it and tuck it into your coat, even though you don't need to. The words have already settled into memory. Later, while watching the mist drift over the field, You think about time. How different it feels out here. It doesn't tick forward in the usual way. There are no clocks. Only the slow drip of water off the trench roof, or the steady shift of light through clouds. You measure days by the feel of your skin, the state of your boots, the weight in your stomach. The distant sound of gunfire cracks the stillness now and then. Never close, just enough to remind you it's still out there, still waiting. But your trench holds steady. No orders to move. No flares in the sky. Just the rhythm of your own breathing. The quiet pulse of a world that refuses to rest. You sit down against the wooden wall, rifle beside you, hands in your coat for warmth. There's nothing more to do for now. Just wait, and listen, and be ready. The weather has begun to shift. The air feels thinner somehow, less heavy, as though the land itself is beginning to breathe again. You notice it in small things. The way the dampness doesn't cling to your coat as much. How the morning frost doesn't bite quite as deep. It's not peace. But it feels like something is slowly changing. There's more talk about being rotated out. More frequent mentions from the officers. No promises, but you see it in their posture. The kind of quiet certainty that only comes when orders are truly on the way. It stirs something in your chest. Not excitement, just the awareness that the days here might be numbered. You spend more time looking out across the no man's land. It doesn't look any less ruined. The wire still coils like skeletons in the frost. The shattered trees still reach out like broken fingers. But you look at it longer now, trying to remember every shape, every shadow. You've hated this place, but it has shaped you, marked you, held you. That night, you're assigned a short watch with another soldier, a younger one who barely says a word. You sit together in the dugout, watching the still horizon through narrow gaps in the wall. Nothing moves, just fog and the occasional flicker of moonlight off distant puddles. He finally asks, "What's the first thing you'll do when we get out?" You pause, then say, "Sleep without boots." He chuckles softly. Then, silence again. The next day, a letter arrives. Not yours. Someone else receives it. But the way he reads it, holding the paper so gently, makes you feel the weight of home again. You don't remember the last time you smelled fresh bread, or heard a bell ring outside a shop. But just imagining it brings warmth to your fingertips. For the first time in a long while, you realize you've stopped counting days. Not because you've given up, but because the end feels possible now. Not soon, but possible. There's still gunfire at a distance. Still the occasional shell. Still tension behind every movement. But it doesn't press on your shoulders quite the same. You hold your rifle the same way. You check your gear the same. But your eyes, they drift longer now. Looking past. Looking ahead. You walk a little slower down the trench. Not from fatigue, but from the need to remember it all. The boards beneath your boots. The sound of water dripping from rusted nails. The scent of cold earth. This place has held stories. Laughter, fear, silence, pain. And now it begins to loosen its grip.